Back to another episode of the House Divided podcast. We had an incredible week one start to the NFL with some great games. Perhaps maybe the greatest regular season game we've ever seen. Sunday night on NBC with the Bills and the Ravens. We also had other big games. We had the J.J. McCarthy comeback, the Steelers Jets classic, and among some other ones. And we also had a great college football slate. We had some teams get back and get right. We had another Julian Sion show off game. We had Clemson struggle for a little bit, and they came back for another interesting week. So today we're going to be giving y'all our thoughts and reaction as usual, and then we're going to head right into our predictions after that.
Yeah, man.
What'd you think of the week this year?
Yeah, first of all, I want to bring attention to my performance. 6-1 on my best bets. We'll disregard Fantasy Explosion. Went 1-2, but hey, best bet 6-1. If you tell me last weekend, man, you made some cash there,
Exactly.
bringing me to 9-7 overall. Finally in the positives. But yeah,
It's monumental for the first time in podcast history.
yeah,
Rod's in the
exactly.
positive.
So hopefully we continue it, but sometimes maybe the hot streak keeps going. But moving on to the first game. The first game, probably the biggest one in college football this weekend. OU. Their defense kind of showed out a little bit in that matchup against Michigan. What are your thoughts on both teams?
Yeah, OU looks great. They're looking like they could even be SEC contenders at this point. Mateer's looking like he should be the Heisman favorite as of right now. That defense looks solid. Obviously, Michigan's offense this has been a problem for 2 years now, and they have a true freshman at QB, and it did look like they were stalling. So I don't want to overhype the Oklahoma defense, but I'm going to give them the credit where credit is due. Uh, Overall, I think while it was not a great game for Michigan's offense, I mean, it's nothing to worry about too badly. You'll be able to. You have a couple easy games in a row now. Really, all you have to do is kind of be ready for the big game against Ohio State, and you have plenty of time for that. So I'm not super worried about Michigan and what they have going forward, and I thought it was very impressive from Oklahoma and what they're going to be able to do forward. They obviously have a tough schedule, but they've shown with a game like this that they should be able to handle it.
Yeah, I think kind of said beautiful. John Mateer is my Heisman front runner as of right now. Obviously, 2 weeks in, hard to say, but I mean, great game from him. Great game from that defense. Obviously, you saw a little of the freshman tendencies from Bryce Underwood in that game, but I think both teams will be fine. They'll be contending maybe for an outside shot at the playoffs. Maybe that 8 to 12 seed range, depending on what their teams are in the picture. So, I mean, for Michigan, you can see the talent Bryce Underwood has. He just obviously first true road game in an environment like that. It's tough. So nothing to be too concerned about there. And I just think Oklahoma, I think they do have the hardest schedule in the country. So I think that's going to be tough for them. But if they can maybe walk out with 2 to 3 losses, they could squeeze in there, especially if they pick up some key wins.
Yeah.
But moving on here to a shocking display, UCF shocking the Gators down there in Gainesville.
Yeah, that's great for UCF, one of the USF, one of the best ones they're going to have all year probably. They have another big showdown this week, but that's such a great win against probably the most recognizable team in Florida, SEC powerhouse historically. They've won national championships, and that's a monumental one for them. And they're a better team than they've been in other years. But I'd say it's most worrisome. It's more worrisome for Florida than it is impressive for USF. Because look at the games you have. Either them or Oklahoma have the hardest schedule in the SEC.
Yeah, well, I think in the country, one's Oklahoma, two is Florida.
So one of them, and just looking at their next 3 games, I think it's Georgia.
Well, it's LSU,
Georgia,
Texas, A&M. I know Tennessee's in there.
So they're losing the next 3 guaranteed, I think.
It's just tough. I think they play like the rest all ranked, and then right now like 5 top 10, 3 top 5s, and
so it is a lot more discouraging than the faith we had in them earlier in this year. Maybe they could win a couple of those tough matchups, make the progress you wanted to see. Now that hope for progress is gone. They've really stagnated. They look around around where they were a year ago. So very concerning with this loss, and it really, really, they're gonna have to turn it around if Billy Napier wants to keep his job.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna mention. My two takeaways from this job is Billy Napier's probably out unless he picks up some
If unless he
marquee
picks up,
wins
yeah, against
and
elite teams.
turns it around with 8 or 7 wins and some
Mm-hmm.
upsets there. And my other takeaway is UCF. You control your own destiny in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You can lose to Miami, but if you win out
Yeah,
and win your conference, you're in. Beating Florida and then beating Boise State, another. I mean, the Power 5 team that represented
a year
ago. So I think UCF destiny, and then obviously if you beat Miami this weekend, oof.
No,
But
if you're
yeah,
booked,
yeah.
you probably won't even be the 12th seed. You'll be higher.
Yeah.
You'll get a better spot.
But we'll see. But yeah, UCF control your own destiny, and Bill Napier needs to turn things around. And Lagway, I mean, not the worst performance, but not the best.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the type of game you want to see your quarterback show out. And I mean, he shouldn't have to put the team on his back, but especially in those close games against a team you should be beating by more, putting that backpack on and saying, I'm not going to let us lose that game is what Lagway needed to do to take that next step, and he really didn't. So that was my takeaways from those games.
Yeah, I agree. As we just said, just there's clear room for growth for those elite players they've recruited, and there's plenty of it. Is what they should.
Yeah. Here, this next one, I'll lead us straight into it. Another quarterback that kind of showed out, Bo Pribula for Missouri, taking care of Kansas in that border war. I saw either a halftime or a break. A Missouri fan got offered $25K to hit a field goal, and they opted to kick it at the sideline, which is crazy. You always take the chance for money, but yeah, I was really impressed by Missouri. I think Kansas is a really good team. Their offense is really dangerous. I think it is too reliant on Daniels right now. But, I mean, what I saw every time Kansas was inching closer, Bo Pribula would lead his team down the field and lead another touchdown drive. And it kind of, I think Missouri could be a tough out for a lot of teams that they don't expect. And not a lot of people expected coming in. They didn't have the hype they did last year. But I don't think they'll make the playoffs or anything, but I think they'll be a scary out for a lot of teams.
Yeah. Going back to the game, I'd picked Kansas before the game, and I mentioned the key difference to me was I thought Daniels would be the better quarterback. I think he was the veteran who would be able to lead his team in a tough moment, who'd be savvy in the right moments and would know what to do. And no matter the pressure, he could be the one to get it. But it turns out it was the reverse. It was Bo Pribula who got his team ready, made the big plays when he needed to, played good football, and was able to get his team down in the end to win it. So Bo Pribula proved me wrong, and I said I liked him before, obviously, but I was just like, he's only played one game. He was a backup for Penn State. Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get yet, but he showed out what you're going to get. That was pretty impressive from him.
Yeah, I think they sneaked into that, or not sneaked in, but they got into that 25 spot this week. So I don't know who they play next, but I think they'll make their way up depending on who they play. But speaking of rankings, what's your top 10 for this week? I figure not a lot of movement.
No, not a lot of movement at the top at all. In fact, my number 1 is still Ohio State. My number 2 is still Penn State. And my number 3 is still LSU. My number 4 is still Georgia. My number 5 is still Miami. My number 6 is still Oregon. Or I think I had Oregon at 5 maybe. I don't remember what I had last week, but I have Oregon at 6. I have Texas at 7. Here we got our first movement, I'm pretty sure. South Carolina moved up to 8. Illinois moved up to 9. And I put Oklahoma at 10.
Yeah, I kept my top the same: Ohio State, LSU, Penn State, Georgia, Oregon. Oregon, very impressive, 69-3 against another Power 4 team. I have Texas still there, Miami. I do have some shifts. I will say I do have South Carolina moving up to that 8, and then Florida State at 9. I moved them up, and I backed up Clemson at 10. I still think they're very talented, but what we've seen this season so far, not the best showings. So I had to knock them, especially when it looked like they were going to lose to Troy. So obviously they came back in the second half and got things right, but I had to knock them a little bit. But I still think they're a top tier team, so I couldn't knock them out the top 10 just yet. But if you want to go straight into the NFL, there, man.
We can
What
move
do you got?
straight into our reactions to the NFL this last week. Is Aaron Rodgers back after such a great revenge game against the Jets?
Hey, man. I'll be quick and I'll let you do the most. But man, he had his best game at MetLife against the Jets. I mean, it looked like prime Aaron Rodgers. It looked like he was dissecting the defense, finding his weapons, even though the weapons are not as good as what you
Hey,
had in New
don't diss
York.
Calvin
Hey,
Austin, man.
but great game from them. Obviously, from the Steelers side, a little concerning giving up that many points to the Jets. But on the Jets side of the ball, Justin Fields had a great game as well, rushing the ball and throwing it. Garrett Wilson surprised a lot of people, especially fantasy owners that were saying he's the bust this year. Brees Hall, a great game. They have a two-headed monster in the backfield there. Some speed with some power, but I think if the Steelers offense keeps playing like this, and then the Steelers defense that we know is usually the Steelers defense, this team could be really really dangerous. But obviously, we got to see some continuity throughout the season.
Yeah, for the question, I think Aaron Rodgers is back, but not all the like he's not all the way back.
Yeah.
He's not Green Bay Aaron Rodgers. He's not MVP Aaron Rodgers. He might be what he was at the end that last year after he won the MVPs in Green Bay. And he's definitely better than he was with the Jets. So in a way he is back, but not all the way back. Yeah, he's not going to be 27, 32 years old again, you know. He's going to have to play a different style of ball, and I think their important takeaways was his throwing range. He can still make every throw there is. He showed pretty decent mobility. I think 3 touchdowns were from outside the pocket, so that's pretty good because the protection was a concern, especially from that left tackle side. Broderick Jones allowed multiple pressures. In fact, most of the pressures, I'd say, came from his side. But other than that, our offense, I'd say, looked pretty good. I liked how a lot of our linemen, I think Frazier played pretty well. I think there was a good first game for Fautanu. DK had a good game. That's what you wanted to see from someone you brought in. I was maybe a little bit more next time, build on it, but decent enough. Jonnu Smith scored, really good, what you wanted to see. Calvin Austin, hopefully he's being able to establish himself as something different, so I like that. And obviously concerning defensively, hopefully once a couple of games more go through, Justin Fields knew our defense really well, so maybe that was something. But yeah, I'm not as concerned about our defense as some people.
Yeah, I mean it's also one game.
Yeah.
You can't overreact or underreact. But I mean, if that's how the season's gonna be, and obviously I think that defense is gonna get into shape, and this offense playing like that, hey man, sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit. And we brought in Jabril Peppers. I do think Deshaun Elliott is better, and hopefully he comes back soon. But nice signing to have them paired up once Deshaun Elliott gets back.
Yeah, man. But moving on here to the game in Brazil, are the Chiefs in trouble after loss versus Chargers?
I think it's a little more intricate than that. I do think they're in trouble compared to other years, not necessarily because of the result of this game, but because of the result of the other games. Yeah, now you've lost to the Chargers. You're down a divisional game. The Chargers look better than they have in years. Herbert looks better than he ever has. But also Denver looks better than they have in years. And the Raiders coming off a win with a Raiders team looks so they're finally in a hard division, something they really haven't had to deal with in the whole era of their dynasty. So I'd say that's an area where they're in trouble because now you really got to face it. I'd say your team is obviously not as strong as it once was, so you have bigger threats in the AFC. So I'd say they're more in trouble in a way of more people have caught up to them than I'm really concerned about this team's going to be bad. I don't think this team's going to be bad. I think they're going to be really good. They're still the Chiefs. They still have a lot of their stars offensively and defensively, and I think they're going to be just fine. And they're still going to make a playoff run. So yeah. I wouldn't worry if I was in Kansas City at all.
Yeah, well, I'm super concerned because their own players keep taking out their own players, man. Mahomes with Rice and then Kelsey with Worthy, man. I don't know what's going on in Kansas City, but they love hurting each other.
They don't like receivers there.
But no,
Travis Kelsey had Taylor Swift on his podcast, saw how happy she was, how much she liked Worthy, and he was like,
nope, not. No, I forgot about that. But no, man, I think it is a little worrisome. Obviously, because you got the Eagles coming in. We'll talk about that game in a little bit, but that could be another loss there. I mean, momentum's real in the NFL, so starting 0-2, not a good look, not good for morale. But I mean, I still, like you said, think this team's gonna veteran team experience, great head coach, quarterback. Uh, Travis Kelsey has the Swifties
Yeah,
behind him, so I think
exactly.
they'll be good. They'll have a battle in the division, but even if they don't win it, they'll be a wild card team in there and be the Chiefs of old. Then I do. They're always dangerous in the playoffs, so as long as they get in there, they'll be good to go.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Now let's take it to a different game, a little divisional showdown between a team we considered one of the Super Bowl favorites, so one that maybe wasn't there, but then they got a big acquisition and dominated this game. And what do you take of the Packers game, and what do you think of the Super Bowl aspirations for both of these teams now?
Yeah, I think obviously first week don't want to overreact. Obviously a little concerning from the Lions. They couldn't run the ball as well as they have the last couple of years. I think that was the difference in the game, forcing Jared Goff to basically just throw, and that's he's more of a play action guy, more of a playing off the run guy. So I think next couple games you need to obviously establish the run with those with Sonic and
Mm-hmm.
Knuckles, and then that will open up the rest of the offense for you. Um, and then go into the Packers. To me, it's the Eagles and the Packers in this conference right now. Those are my two. I know I picked the Rams, but I think the Rams are a dark horse for later in the season. But right now, watching those two teams play, those are my favorites right now. And I think depending on where the game is, the Packers could win this NFC. I like Jordan Love still had some turnover tendencies in that game. But I like that defense. They were always turnover prone. Now they have the top two pass rusher in the league and a guy that can do everything on the field. And Josh Jacobs didn't really get going that game either, and they still took care of business. So I really like this Packers team. I think they're going to win the NFC North, and I think that they'll be in that conference championship fighting for a spot in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I have a similar perspective. I think Green Bay is definitely a Super Bowl contender. They have the quarterback, they have the defense, they have the coach, they have the running backs, they have possibly the receivers. We'll see how they develop throughout the year, but they're good enough right now to where they need to be, and they just dominated a really good team. I liken this Philadelphia or not the Detroit Lions to Philadelphia the year after they lost the Super Bowl to Kansas City, and they lost both their coordinators. Gannon went to Arizona, Sirianni went to Indianapolis, and they had a rough year. They were in the playoffs, and they lost in the wild card. I could see a similar year for Detroit as they try to figure out their footing with two new coordinators after two of them left for a head coaching job. They're still obviously a very strong team. The players are all still there. You get Aiden Hutchinson back. They're still going to be a great team. They're still going to be able to compete for Green Bay for the division. Yeah, you can't really kind of predict how they're both going to be in December, January when it comes down. So I still think they're pretty even. And come the second game in Detroit, I think the Lions can win it, obviously. But we'll see what happens with them. But if I had to pick today, I'd go Green Bay because they just beat them.
Yeah. And it was honestly a dominating defensive
Yeah.
performance from
Mm-hmm.
them. And I think I know I am reiterating it, but Detroit needs to run the ball. That's what they
Yeah,
were good
yeah.
at. Obviously, they had those big flashy plays, trick plays, but when it came down to it,
It was Sonic
they
and
just
Knuckles.
ran the ball all over every team last year.
Yeah, and they
But
still have good receivers though.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
use
So
them.
it's like
But yeah,
no. So I'm saying if you run the ball like you were last year, you'll be able to free up those receivers like you had them last year.
yeah,
Plus, you have the addition of Isaac Tesla, who had the catch of the week. So.
yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, man. You alluded to it earlier in that, but or at the beginning of the episode, excuse me. But to you, the best regular season game, I think it's obviously up there for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Bills with some magic there in Buffalo in an amazing fourth quarter comeback, man. What
Yeah,
are your
I mean,
thoughts?
I think Josh Allen demonstrated when he was the MVP a year ago. I mean, not to say Lamar had a big game. He didn't. He played phenomenal. Uh, Crazy to say that Derrick Henry lost you the game after he scored two touchdowns and had 170 plus rushing yards, and he played a really good game. Uh, Zay Flowers had another great game. The options, I mean, they're all there offensively. They were great. What's concerning is to see a defense we were considering probably top two, top three, drop 40, let 40 points be dropped on them. That's definitely a concern for me. I think they got very conservative defensively, more so, is what I think happened. I think a lot of people would agree with that. So definitely an issue. I think play calling was the biggest issue defensively for the Ravens. For the Bills, though, some of my takeaways are Josh Allen is an absolute star, but he's the best QB in the league. I think that's all I'm going to say about him. James Cook stepped up in the right moments. Keon Coleman looked great in the right moments. The offensive line looked great. They all looked great offensively towards the end. It was the play calling really got turned up as well in the end after being stagnant for a while. Uh, Defensively, I mean, you can't really say much. You showed up when you needed to. Ed Oliver is a star, but you still did get 40 points dropped on them. And at times, Flowers, Jackson, and Henry were doing what they wanted with you. So you obviously want to see that being able to be shorn up in a playoff run. But great big win that could decide who gets the bye week, who gets home field advantage towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of what you said. I mean, Josh Allen showed why he's the best player in all of football. He took that game by the throat and said, "I'm gonna win this game
Mm-hmm.
for us," and he's really one of the only few players in the league that can do that. And what's concerning for Buffalo for me is I'm a little scared. Obviously, it's just one game, but we saw it kind of at the end of last season where Josh Allen had to drop 52 points to win uh, a lot of those games down the stretch. I think LA, I think they lost that one,
Mm-hmm.
but also Detroit, like a high scoring game. I'm concerned maybe this season it's kind of like a Bengals look where the best offense in the league and their defense doesn't show up. Obviously, it's just
Well, I
one
mean,
game.
wouldn't
But
you say it's the same for the Ravens? The defense couldn't show up in this.
well, last year the Ravens had a top two defense. Obviously, it
Yeah.
was one game, but
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going back to last season with the Bills. I mean, I think the Lions they beat the Lions 52-45.
Yeah.
They lost to the Rams 49-45, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously that's concerning, um, but I mean we've seen them have good stretches, and I think they have the talent to do so. But I mean, if Josh Allen just has a top 15 defense, they're Super Bowl contenders. Obviously, I still think they are Super Bowl contenders. On the Ravens side, um, great showing from their offense. Obviously, mistake from Henry. You don't usually see him fumble the ball. Maybe the pressure got to him. I don't know. But I mean, also, I think what's concerning is another collapse in the fourth quarter. I think for a team that runs the ball so well to have this many collapses in the fourth quarter is concerning.
Yeah.
Um, but I think they'll be fine. They'll both be in the AFC Championship picture, and I do think this game's gonna be very important to the seeding, especially with probably the 1, 2, or 3 seed that these teams
Yeah.
are gonna be around. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could definitely see it. I obviously think the Ravens have a harder life seeing that they have to deal with Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals are in their household, basically, while the Bills get an easy pass through with the
oh
AFC
man, the
East.
Jets, ooh, it's a great
We'll see
team.
this week. All right, before we move on, I want to react to one last game. Monday night, the Bears were calling themselves Super Bowl champs after one drive. Like the Ravens and like the casual, I mean the usual Bears, they choked it at the end after Caleb Williams was able to miss some sitters. And I just want to ask, where do you stand on Caleb Williams after not really showing much growth on
Uh,
Monday?
I don't know, man. First of all, JJ McCarthy, great second half.
Great second half.
What you want to see from a player in his first
Exactly. You
start.
want to see him bounce back like
Yeah,
that.
great game. You can see why they went with
Mm-hmm.
him instead of obviously Sam Darnold, great quarterback, but
Yeah.
you can see the upside they were banking on, and it
Mm-hmm.
showed there in the second half. Moving on to the Bears, I think Caleb, obviously he missed some throws here and there. I think he still held on to the ball a little
Mm-hmm.
too long. Obviously, there was times he was able to get away and had a lot of good scrambles, but that could also be avoided by getting rid of the ball faster. But I think Ben Johnson just needs to realize like or I think he does, but he doesn't have as many, especially in the running
Mhm.
back or the O line
Yeah.
weapons as he did in Detroit, and he just needs to adapt to Caleb's play style more. And obviously, it's a thing to wait and see. Maybe next game he shows out, but obviously this first half or first drive, I think he completed his first 10
Yeah,
throws,
his first 10 throws.
but after that it was kind of
Yeah, after
back to
that,
old Caleb.
he looked like
Yeah,
old Caleb.
yeah.
It's crazy to say. There were 5 QBs taken after him in that first round, and I think all 5 looked better than him, this
But
week.
what Jane Daniels, Drake May,
Drake May did not look good this week at all.
Yeah, I think.
No, Caleb might
Yeah, I
look
think
better
they're
than
all
him.
better except
Yeah.
Drake May as of right now.
Yeah.
But no, it was a great game. Obviously, for Bears fan, that's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, it was a heartbreaking loss for them, especially this since they looked in control for 3 quarters.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's go straight into these predictions for this week. We got some great matchups in college. Uh, Still some good ones in NFL, but a little more quiet on that front. But yeah, man, let's go straight into these colleges. First one, we kind of spoke about Clemson and how disappointed they've been so far, but they get a little tricky test there in Atlanta against Georgia Tech. Do you think they'll be upsetted this weekend?
No, I don't think so. I think as the time goes, they're gonna get better, and they're gonna each week slowly get to what we think both thought they could be, and I think this is kind of gonna be a get right week for them, and I think they won't be able to. Georgia Tech won't be able to upset them as some people think they would. Uh, I think this is a get right game. I think that defense has been right so I think they're going to be just fine. I think this is a get right game for the offense. Uh, so I think this is where you finally get those receivers going, get the rushing game going that struggled. You're coming off of the momentum from that second half against Temple. Try to use that a little, and I think they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have picked this upset. The spread keeps coming down. I do think Georgia Tech's a good team and they have the capability to do this. I just don't think their style of play is suited to beat Clemson. I think the way to beat Clemson is to air it out and throw it, and this Georgia Tech is a rushing attack. And I think against that D line and that great defense or front seven, excuse me. Well, they also have great DBs, but that's like the main part of their defense. I think the way Georgia Tech usually plays in one game, it's not the recipe to beat Clemson. So I think Clemson is going to take care of business, win by 2 tutties. I think Cade's going to look like the Heisman we all think he should be, and I think they do take care of business and kind of get everyone to calm down and put their name back in the national championship contenders.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is one of those games where they can really reaffirm their footing, and they're going to win, I think, 10 plus points is what we're looking at. All right, let's move on for another upset, a team that's pulled off an upset. The USF Bulls are going to Miami. They're playing the Hurricanes, the U. The U's coming off a big win 2 weeks ago, and we'll see. What do you think? Can the Bulls pull it off again? Get another upset?
No, I think this is gonna be a crazy
I think
blowout.
this is gonna be a blowout.
I think it's one of those games where a Cinderella team beats a big team, and everyone is high on them and thinks they're playing another big team and thinks the same thing's gonna happen, and then they just get destroyed. Yeah. I think Miami, obviously, we've only seen one real game of them, but they've been tested already with Notre Dame coming in. I think Carson Beck is gonna have a field day throwing the ball. He's more experienced, more used to throwing picks than DJ Lagway, so he knows what not to do. And he's just going to find his guys, and I think they'll establish the run early. And I think that defense is for real. And I don't think UCF's going to do much. I think Miami wins by 20 plus.
Yeah, I liken this to when Vanderbilt told Alabama, "You're next." And Jalen Hurts out there and like, well, theoretically, we are next. And then you just cut to a clip. Alabama 63.
Yeah, whatever, 70.
Yeah. So I liken it to that. Obviously, I don't think Miami's going to win by 63 points, but I do think they're going to blow them out. what was Miami's weakness a year ago? It was the secondary, even though I think it's much stronger this year. Uh, I don't trust USF to be able to attack the secondary. I think their strengths lie elsewhere, and I think they're going to be able to be dominant defensively, and I don't think their defense is strong enough to stop that offensive attack that's led by such a veteran quarterback who's had a great, great year.
Yeah, is I think you said it perfectly,
Yeah.
and I just don't see a way Miami loses this. But moving on to another game here. I think game day's going there. Can Joey Aguilar lead Rocky Top over the Dogs there in Neyland Stadium?
Yeah, they definitely can. They've looked really, really good. Uh, but while they can, I'm leaning towards no, they won't. Uh, Georgia really hasn't done anything to jump off your screens. They haven't made any headlines. They haven't done anything special this year, but they've done what they needed to do. They've taken care of business, and they've looked decent doing it. Uh, while Tennessee has had the splashy plays, you've seen Joey Aguilar throw those deep balls. You know, those aren't teams you're exactly scared of, or you know that are the teams you're allowed to make those highlights against. So I just think Georgia does have a super team. There's a reason I have them ranked so high. I think their defense is really, really strong. So their offense is going to be able to hang with anybody. So I think, well, it is going to be a close game, but it's going to be a solid Georgia win.
I actually disagree. I am gonna pick Tennessee to win this. I do like what I've seen from Joey Aguilar. I think we saw Nico was the problem, and I think they.
He's also been not
Yeah,
good at
I
all.
think they
California.
upgraded accidentally, and I think that defense is always stout, and that team always shows up to play in big games in front of their fans, especially in recent years. I think it's been since 2015 they put up a good fight against Georgia at home, so I think they're due for a big win. I do think Georgia is a better team, but I think on Saturday at 2:30 or 3:30 when they play, Tennessee will be the better team in that instance. And to be honest, I think Georgia is not going to go undefeated in the season. So I think they pick up a loss here or against Texas, and
I think it's against Texas.
I like the chances for Tennessee at home a little bit better. So I am gonna pick them, and then I think this will be when the Tennessee hype gets all the way up, and then midseason it comes down, and that's what I'm going off of. And yeah, man, I think Tennessee is gonna pull off this upset and beat Georgia for the first time probably in a while.
Yeah, I think I saw it's been like 9 years, 2016 maybe. So.
Yeah, I don't know, but I saw like since 2015 they've been outscored at home by Georgia like 141 to like 30 or something,
Yeah,
something ridiculous. So I think they're due for a big game.
All right, let's move to another big SEC matchup. Another team, actually my highest ranked SEC team. I think your highest ranked SEC team.
Yeah.
The LSU Tigers host the Florida Gators in Death Valley. We've spoken a little so far about what Florida did last week. Can they bounce back this week?
Yeah, I mean LSU struggled a little bit after that Clemson game. Obviously, it took care of business, but I think it's kind of the type of game where you caught in between two big matchups and you kind of sleep on it a little bit. But I think Brian Kelly's gonna have his boys right. That defense seems way more improved. I think they'll give Lagway some trouble. Obviously, they're in Death Valley. The crowd's gonna be. It's a night game. He's gonna be a little flustered. I like Garrett Nussmeier better. I like honestly their defense better as of what I've seen this year.
Yeah.
So I think LSU has all the advantages everywhere, and obviously home crowd advantage, and I think they'll take care of business. I do think it's going to be closer than that spread is, but I think LSU takes care of business.
Yeah, I think LSU takes care of business. I do think that spread is fair, though. I think it is around that 7.5. They're going to win between the touchdown to a touchdown and a field goal range, that little 7-10. Like you said, I think LSU has the advantage at basically every position. Head coaching wise, I think Kelly's the better coach as well. So they play at home at night at the real Death Valley, as they earned that a couple weeks ago. I don't think there's much. I think the best Florida can do is go out there and try to give a match and save face after the embarrassment.
Yeah. But moving on to the last college game, the Irish versus the Aggies. Who will win, man? Who you got this weekend?
I have Notre Dame. I think you have two hard games on your schedule this year, and you already lost one of them. This time you're playing at home. You're playing at South Bend. You have the Aggies coming up north, and they haven't. They've struggled at moments. There are moments in the middle of the game. If you've seen both games, they can take control early and they finish well. But in those middle of the game moments, they let UTSA get close. So I think that's somewhere where you can take advantage of is from the Notre Dame team. Obviously, it's going to be Carr's second big game after starting his first ever game. So it's obviously that's the concern. I would give Marcel Reed the edge at quarterback as of right now. But I think almost at other positions, defensively, offensively, I do favor Notre Dame right now. And I think this is a game where they really need to learn to lean on Jeremiah Love and lean on Jeremiah Love and lean on Jeremiah Love.
Hey man, I'm gonna have to disagree again.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's some bias seeping through. There always is, man.
Wait, what happened last year? Just remind me what happened last
Oh,
year at Kyle Field.
we lost, man. Connor Wigman wasn't it? Obviously, they had Riley Leonard and a way better team. I mean, that team made the natty, man. But no, I agree with what she said. I think what scares me is Notre Dame had a week off since that Miami game. Obviously, you give a great head coach some time. He's gonna have a great game plan dialed up. I love our receivers this year. I think we're way more loaded than we've been in a while at that position with Concepcion, and Carver's been really showing out. I love our running backs with Moss, Daniels, and Ruben Owens. I think
they're really good. They're a great committee. I just think it's the Love on the other side.
He's a beast. But honestly, obviously, it's been concerning. We've allowed a lot of points to teams like Utah State and UTSA and played them a little closer. I just think we have a lot more to show on offense, and I think it's going to be a really close game, a defensive battle. I think two great defenses, two great coaches, two kind of young. Marcel Reed has some starts, but still kind of inexperienced in those big away games moments. So I think, and obviously CJ Carr, like you mentioned, second career start, first home game. Obviously, crowd's going to be amped up. But I do think with some bias, we're going to win like 24-20 or something like that. But I think it is going to be a close game, and I'll explain later why. Okay, moving on to NFL. Here we got a great Thursday night football game, probably the best of the year. Commanders versus Packers in Lambeau.
Who remembers the good old color rush Jaguars versus the ugly games? Who remembers the Mac Jones being the best quarterback during a Thursday night football game? We've moved up in the world. We're getting Commanders, Packers, a possible NFC Championship game on Thursday night on Amazon Prime. It's going to be a great game. I am, as of right now, leaning Packers. I think they looked far more convincing against a better team than the Commanders did against a worse team. I think the Packers have the edge at basically every position, I'd say, except maybe quarterback. But Jordan Love, I think, is a phenomenal quarterback. Obviously, you can look intricately at every, and I think a lot of those position battles are really close. But I think that Green Bay is able to be too balanced, or not too balanced. They're going to be very balanced offensively. I think they can do that. They have that luxury, and I think Washington's going to have to lean on Daniels a little too much in a big game against a defense like that, and I think I'm leaning Green Bay because of that.
Yeah, I'm also going to pick Green Bay. I think I do want to see what Terry McLaurin can do. He was a little quiet that first game. Debo had a massive game. I think he'll have a lot of touches this game too, but I think they need to get Terry McLaurin involved to really unlock that offense and maybe even win this game. But I am going to pick the Packers. I think they have a better defense. They're more balanced on offense, and I think Micah is going to have a big play where he has a strip sack or something on Daniels, and I think they do win I think this is going to be a high-scoring game and maybe win by 10 points, 7, depending on who has the ball last.
Yeah, I can see that.
Speaking of high-scoring, we got your boy Aaron Rodgers back at it again. Can he keep up the momentum against Seattle there in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think he can. I'm not saying he's going to put up 4 touchdowns. again, but he can definitely keep the momentum going, and I think he will. Seattle played a decent game against San Francisco last week. They were torn apart by the quick dumps to CMC, which is not something I think the Steelers particularly have the skill for. Their running backs receiving game is not something they've been very strong at, but Warren's good at it if you can get him the ball. Uh, I think it's going to have to be a lot of that play action quick game that the Steelers were able to do against the Jets. That is really what the Arthur Smith offense is at its best, what it was at its best at in Tennessee. Uh, and I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a similar game, those 240, 270 yard range, maybe 2 to 3 touchdowns again this week. And I think our defense is definitely going to step up against Seattle, who's having to make a cross-country trip. They play a much more pocket QB, maybe a QB who doesn't know the defense as well. So I think they'll be a lot stronger defensively. And offensively, I think we're going to be very good again. I don't know if we're going to put 34 points up again, but I think Seattle's defense could be similar caliber to the Jets. The Jets, I think, have a pretty good defense, top 10 defense, and I think Seattle might be there as well. But I think this is a game for the Steelers, and I like that 3-point spread. I think it should be around there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a complete opposite from last weekend's game. I think it's going to be more low scoring and a lot of field goals. Typical Steelers games. I think it'll be back to reality. I do pick the Steelers to win this by 3, 4-ish points. I think that spread is, like you said, perfect. I do think at the end of the day, I trust Aaron Rodgers to move the ball more and get more points than Sam Darnold. And I think the Steelers defense and that pass rush is going to re-cement themselves, especially in this game. I think Darnold's going to struggle a little bit, and I do think he's going to have a decent game and find JSN. But I think it's going to be evident that the Seattle team is not built to win.
Yeah.
But
another thing I want to see from this game is DK Metcalf revenge game. I want to see him in the end zone
forgot
for the
about
first time.
that. Yeah.
For the first time in the Steelers uniform, I want to see him go off. I know he said earlier there's like no hard feelings, and to him it's just another game. But I want to see him go off.
It's not just another game.
It's not. He has to say that for the media, but I think it's not.
Yeah, I never. But moving on to my favorite game of this weekend, a Super Bowl rematch early on in the season. We got the Eagles going into Arrowhead Field. Jason Kelsey's probably going to be tailgating and in the suite with Taylor there. But let's focus on the game, not the extracurriculars. But yeah, man. Personally, I just don't see the Chiefs starting 0-2. I am going to pick the Chiefs here. I think we saw Philadelphia's defense struggle a little bit to contain the Cowboys. Oh my gosh, my voice. And I do think Mahomes and Andy Reid are going to have a good game plan and protect them better than they did in the Super Bowl. And I think they'll get their revenge. Obviously, they would rather have won the other game, but yeah. I think they'll win. We saw, was it last year they also played? Or maybe 2 years ago they played and the Chiefs took that one.
Yeah, they played 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's when Sirianni went into the tunnel and started.
Yeah.
Chiefs fan, I don't want to hear it or something about that.
Yeah. But I am going to pick the Chiefs in a close game. I think Saquon's going to have a big game again, but I am going to pick the Chiefs.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Eagles. I do think the Chiefs start 0-2. Even without Jalen Carter suspended again. Or not suspended again, suspended. He just missed the last game.
Yeah. Do you think he's going to spin on Mahomes too?
He's suspended. He can't. He's just going to be waiting outside the stadium.
Yeah, he's going to spin in his car.
Waiting for him. Yeah. I think Philly wins. I think they're going to be able to be defensively dominant again. There's most likely noworthy again. He's got to rehab his shoulder at least a little bit before being able to come back. So I do think those issues or stay there. The passing game might struggle a little. I think it's going to look similar to the Chiefs-Chargers game in the way the score is going to go down. I think the Eagles are just going to take a lead and maybe go up 10 early, and then the Chiefs are going to try to be able to come back and kind of will. They're going to be able to get, say 10-7, but then it goes 13-7, then it goes 13-10. I think Philadelphia is going to be able to be dominant. They're going to be able to control the pace of the game with Saquon, obviously, but even if they don't have and they fall somehow into a 3rd and 7, those 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 10s, even 3rd and 14s, they have the wide receivers and quarterback to be able to overcompensate that. So I don't think there's really any issue, and I think they're going to be able to control the game for 60 minutes.
Yeah, I think we need to see if AJ Brown gets a little more involved
Yeah.
this game, and I think
He
if
just needs to
he
start reading on the sidelines again.
yeah, that's when he was performing at his
Yeah.
best, man.
He must have been on TikTok on the sidelines and that ruined it.
Yeah. Here, the last game of the weekend, and the last game we're going to talk about is Bucks versus Texans on Monday night, man. What are your thoughts?
I really like the Bucks. Texans concern me, putting 9 points up against the Rams. Great defense, but you know you want to see more from that. Stroud didn't play a good game, but I kind of all put that down to that offensive line looked. We heard all the offseason about the new Texans offensive line, and it looked like last year's offensive line. Nico Collins didn't get the ball enough. You still have no Mixon, and you don't really. Chubb's not what he once was. That running back room's not great right now. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay, I think, looks really good. That defense, well, it wasn't the best game you could have had against Atlanta. It was solid enough. Winfield had that great hit at the end, which I really liked. But the difference is Baker and those receivers, man. Igbuka was
What a
great.
guy, man.
And I think it comes down to them. And even if you tell me after Stroud's rookie year, you'd never think you'd favor Baker right now. But I think if it comes down to the quarterback, I'm picking Baker. If it comes down to the offense at all, I'm taking
Bucks.
the Bucks. So even as good as Houston's defense looked, I'm taking the Bucks.
Yeah. I'm also going to take the Bucks. I think also the Bucks are usually a top 2, top 3 rushing um, defense. And last year when Houston was at its best, they were running the ball with Mixon. Obviously, he's not there. They still got Chubb. But I think also the absence of all the receivers and just having Nico, it's kind of hard for the other guys or for him to get open because he has all the intention on him.
Yeah, Nolan Higgins are just rookies. Like it's
So I think it will be a lot of growth in the first couple games with that Houston offense. I do like their defense a lot, but I think the Bucks will be able to move the ball on the ground and as well in the air because they always do in the air. So I do have the Bucks winning by 7-ish points, and I think they'll win 27 to like 17 or something like that.
That's fair. Yeah.
But yeah, straight into our fantasy explosion players. I'll start us off here. I got Mr. Dak Prescott. We're playing the Giants here. I feel like at home, first home game after a loss, we usually drop 40 points. So I think he's going to have a big game. I think he'll put up a lot of points. He'll get Pickens the ball so he doesn't get upset. And Lamb will have a big game because he'll try to make up for what happened last week. My second one will be Ibuka, again, running it back-to-back weeks. His line set at 12.9 points. I mean, he got 2 touchdowns last week. I think 5 to 6 catches. I think he'll get targeted even more this week because Baker's building up confidence with him, and I think he'll have a massive game under the lights. And lastly, I got James Conner, 14.8. Trey Benson getting more touches does scare me, but the Panthers have an awful rush defense. We saw ETN go off last week, so I think James Conner could have 2 touchdowns, and he just needs a couple yards to outdo that.
All right. You touched on mine just a little bit. You said he'd have a big game. I have CeeDee Lamb as my first player. Yeah, I think this is the exact game you want to see from CeeDee Lamb. You want it after that game where he didn't have perhaps the greatest game. Now you have him facing the Giants. Obviously, the strength of that Giants defense is the front, so you want to be able to pass the game well against the Giants, and I think that's what they're gonna focus on. And I think Dallas is gonna be able to control this game. I don't think Russ looked good at all a week ago, so Dallas is gonna be able to strike early, strike hard, strike fast. A little Cobra Kai from them, no mercy. So I think CeeDee Lamb is a great game. My second one is Drake May. Just look what Daniel Jones, little Indiana Jones, did last week. First QB
what an awful
in
team.
the Super Bowl era to score on every possession. He looked great. And I think Drake May, while he wasn't convincing at all a week ago, can have a bounce back against this Miami team. And I think he can surpass his points. Keon Coleman is my third player. He had a phenomenal game. He was a go-to guy, and he made crazy catches last week against the Ravens. This might be another game where they need to score high, score fast, big passing plays against the Jets, who scored 32 points last week on what we believe is a very good defense. A defense I believe Pittsburgh has a stronger defense than Buffalo. So I think they might need to score again, and they're going to need to be passing again. And I think Keon Coleman can easily surpass his 11-point mark.
Yeah, you want to go straight into your best bets for
I'll
this
go straight
weekend?
into my best bets. My first one, we talked about it. Clemson. I feel like you and I both covered why we think Clemson is very good. And like you said, that line's been coming down. It's currently sitting at -3, and I love that. I'm taking that, and I'm taking Clemson. My second line team, we've both hyped up a lot all off season. They haven't had the greatest start, but I'm taking South Carolina -4.5. I mean, they're a really good team. I don't.
At home too.
Yeah, at home. I think this is the perfect game for Sellers to really finally explode after two little good games, not great games. I think it's time for the great game, and I think the line's perfect there. Then what might be my favorite line at all this entire week, I got the Rams -5.5
Against the Titans.
against the Titans. They were they lost to Denver by 8. They didn't look great. They were dropped balls everywhere. We all saw Cam Ward's dad. He just wasn't having it. I think the Rams are a better team than the Broncos. I think they're a better offense than the Broncos. I think they're a better defense than the Broncos. And I think they're going to be able to shut down this Tennessee offense completely. And they're going to be able to score a lot with the rushing game, with the passing game. I think they both looked great. So I think it's going to be a strong game. And 5.5 seems crazy low to me. So I'm taking that. And lastly, I think this total is very low. I think he can go way past even 220 yards. I have Sam Darnold over 195 yards passing. Just look at what Justin Fields did to us here. They were able to torch us through the air, both the ground and the air. I think if you look at all of last year, we were being able to take advantage of through the air happened to us quite a good bit. So I think Sam Darnold is going to need to rely on the pass game a little, because I do think we're going to be able to stop the run a little bit better this week, knowing that that's what Seattle likes to do and wants to do. So I think this is the opportunity for him to surpass a low 195 passing yards.
Yeah, I'll go straight into mine. I like all of those, especially that Clemson one. Moving on here, for college football, I got Tennessee +4.5. It's been coming down from 6.5. I think they're gonna win this, but I don't mind laying 4 points just to be safe, just in case they lose by a field goal or something. Then I got A&M +7. Like I said, I think we're gonna win this game, but hey, I think 7 points is a little too much, especially for a defensive battle type of game. And then I got Florida +8.5. A little scared on this one. I could see LSU coming in and killing them, but I think Florida's gonna bounce back and show like, yeah, we are a good team, and yeah, we kind of bottled it up last week, but we can keep up with LSU, even though I think they lose this game. And then I got Oregon -27.5. We saw them win 69-3 last weekend. Northwestern Cheeks, I think they'll win by 35 plus. Yeah. And then I got a little, I kind of made it a staple, my little 2-team parlay here. I got Clemson money line. I do think they win. And then with Ole Miss money line to bring the odds a little down. I do think a lot of people are picking this upset because it's the typical Lane Kiffin game to lose, but I just don't see him losing at home to an Arkansas team that's not very good. Yeah. And then for NFL, I got Cowboys -5.5. I think this is a game at home where we blow out, and then it's like, oh, maybe the Cowboys are actually insane, but
it's always the Giants.
It's also the Giants. And then I got the Lions also same spread -5.5. I think this is a get right game, and they kind of also blow up with a lot of points and kill the Bears at home. And then lastly, I got the Chiefs and Eagles over 46.5 points. That line has been coming up a little bit, and I think we saw the Eagles in the first half before the rain delay struggle to contain the Cowboys, and I think the Eagles, can put up 30 points on any team. So I do like that over. And yeah, that's all we got for you guys this week. I've been on a heater just 1 week, I'm not gonna lie. But we will be in Vegas this weekend. We'll see if there's any fun things we can share with y'all. But yeah, have a great weekend. Enjoy the games, and thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.